Hello snowboarders of the internet, I'm your host Avran LeFeber, and in this video we're going to be reviewing the Endeavor Ranger. This board features Endeavor's multi-camber, which is just cam rocker. So you have camber through the inserts with rocker in the nose and the tail. That camber section is going to give you all the load, pop, snap, and drive, while that rocker in the tips is going to give you ease of entry in and out of turns, more optimal powder float, and a nice big sweet spot for presses and butters. This board is available in 141, 144, 147, 150, 152, 154, 155 wide, 156, 157 wide, 158, and 159 wide. I rode this board at Copper Mountain on a day that had slightly above average warmer temps. There was a fair amount of wind, which was keeping the snow a little firmer so it didn't get super slushy and soft. It was just kind of that hero consistency almost all the way to the bottom, which really kept the corduroy perfect. At the bottom it got a little slushy. You could find spots where there was some chop and chunder, a little bit of death cookies, some push piles, and I rode it with my Rome Black Label bindings and my K2 Thraxis boots. Once again, we have a very predictable flex pattern for this board. Softer tips, stiffer through the middle with a fair amount of torsional flex. Nothing mind-blowing here. It does come in slightly below middle of the road, so it is a little bit more playful. And this is a very lively board. You want to keep your knees bent because you're going to feel every push pile, every piece of chop, all the chunder, death cookies, small fat little skier kids that you ran over, and even furry woodland creatures that were suicidal that ran right into you. You're going to feel it all. It's that lively. It speeds, the tips flap, and that resonates back underfoot. Once again, that's chatter. You're gonna feel it. The nice thing about this board is the snap is consistent on it. It's easy to load up that camber, roll back on the tail, leveraging that rocker flex point right where the camber meets it to give you a little bit of spring. Are you gonna be able to ollie a slow sign? Maybe if it's got that dip in the middle so it's really saggy, you won't have a problem with it. If you're gonna try to ollie a fat little skier kid, if they're over the age of 7, you're gonna want something with more carbon in it and a stiffer board. But if they're 7 or under and they're not like overly grown, you're gonna have no problem with it. When it comes to jumps small to medium-ish, I think like 20 feet is probably pushing it on this board. It does an okay job of popping off the lip, but it's really better to just let the lip do the work with this thing. That way you kind of compress in the transition and then it snaps you versus you're loaded up and you're trying to pop off of it at the last minute. Like I said, you know, nothing mind-blowing here, but at least it's consistent. All right, we know you like this video, so give it a thumbs up. While you're down there, if you haven't already, why don't you subscribe, click the bell, and get those notifications. Do it, you heathen. The tips have a huge sweet spot that's accentuated from those rocker zones. It just locks in and absolutely holds. There's no fight to it, but there is a snappy response out of anything you do. So if you pop a 180, you press into that nose, it's gonna hold, it's not gonna fight you. And then when you go to disengage it, you're gonna be able to pop out and go on your way. You can get weird with this thing. Like you can get sideways, you can sit on it, you can do whatever you want on those tips and swizzle and sizzle. And that kind of carries over to how it jibs. It locks into presses, it holds to the end of the feature, and then it snaps out. There's a lot of give through the midsection, and that camber as well helps cradle it real well. You just feel it lock down and hold you in. Coming from the top rope, yeah, you're gonna clap this thing out for sure. But for most of the people that this is geared to, it's gonna be more than enough board to be able to board slide and press with. This board is very easy to carve with. There's a lot of torsional flex, and with that rocker in the tips, it really just rolls right into a toe side and heel side carve. You can feel it transition back and forth fluidly. You do not have to worry about it. And that makes it ideal for short, tight, quick carves and medium, mellow carves. When you go for those deeper, harder, more aggressive carves, you can kind of lay it over if you have some speed and like space, but if you're in the middle of a carve and then you're kicking your knee into the center to try to push off the tail, it's gonna fold on you. It just lacks that rigidity. So there are limitations with it. Basically, the way I look at it is someone that's gone from a shitted turn, you know, a shitty skidded turn, a shitted turn, and they're starting to get it on edge, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm carving. and then they're gonna do that weird thing where they get really low and they kind of just lean over rather than like let the edge go. And they're gonna be like, look at me, I'm doing deep hard carves. And it's like, no, you're just sticking your ass out and putting your hand on the ground. That's kind of who this is for. Like, it's gonna allow them to learn those fundamentals, but it's not gonna let them fully take it to that level. Rider in mind, this board is perfectly designed for the progressing intermediate rider with a freestyle focus. Like what we're doing over here? Want to support us further? Swing on over to Angry Snowboarder VIP and become a member. Sure, I could tell you more here, but I got a video over there that explains it so much better. This is a well-balanced board for what it is. It's a solid intermediate deck. It's gonna let you progress on it. It's well-balanced for kind of just doing a little bit of everything, even if it is a little more freestyle focused. Is it the best board out there? No. Is it a consistent board? Yes. Comparable boards. The Warden, the Capita Outerspace Living, the Salomon Sleepwalker. Binding recommendations: the Rome Vice, the Ride C6, the Union STR. All right, this has been my review of the Endeavor Ranger. Why don't we go check out some of the bindings that I mentioned in this review, watch those reviews and see how they will match up to your personal style when you buy it.